Hello, love. Welcome to the ChiLove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. Hosted by your girl, Melanie Hogan. My friends call me Mel. The ChiLove Radio Show is sponsored by ChiLove LLC. Now, before we begin, we're going to do our customary 3 deep breaths so that we can align ourselves with the present, not think about what happened yesterday, not think about what's going to happen tomorrow. You're going to inhale, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale. Let's do this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now, today on the ChiLove Radio Show, we have an important COVID update. We are reaching the danger point here in Illinois. Most of Illinois' healthcare regions are seeing increases in the coronavirus metric. Governor J.B. Pritzker is calling it a danger point. He's saying that things are not headed in the right direction. He urges the proper wearing of masks and following the guidelines set for us. Currently, we have had 1,772 new cases in the last 24 hours. This is the highest daily total of the month of July. We are currently at 176,896 total cases. We've had an additional 18 deaths, which brings the death total to 7,478. They have this 7-day rolling period where they collect the data and then they give us a percentage of our positivity rate. And so far it's at 3.8%. But in Region 2, which includes counties like Peoria, the rate has increased to 4.3%. Now, that's still pretty low in comparison to Indiana, Florida, Wisconsin, and so many other states. But we are supposed to be decreasing in the positivity rate. And as we see, we are increasing. The hospital admissions have also steadily increased, which means that when people who are contracting these symptoms and have the positive results for COVID, a lot of them are usually able to just go home and quarantine. But now they're saying more and more people are actually having to go to the hospital because of this. So if this region has 4 more days of people getting sicker and needing a hospital bed, the bars that just recently opened, they were closed. The restaurants where we're having all this wonderful service and being able to get out and spend some quality time or have some me time, we would start to see a reduction in the services at these restaurants. The capacity limits will start to decrease in other like daily activities. Much of the increase in these cases are tied to the 29 and under population. We here at the ChiLove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium have been discussing the uptick in the positive coronavirus cases between the ages of 18 and 29. They're also crediting this increase to large social gatherings and households spread from family member to family member. I am not surprised that these numbers are going up. You know, as we said before, when they originally started testing, their testing resources were limited. But now they have far more resources and the ability to do far more tests than they were before. So of course, it is ideal that the numbers would increase because now they are able to test more people. Initially, the elders and those with underlying medical issues were at the highest risk for catching corona. Those within the 18 through 29 age group were more so instructed to be careful in their dealings and stuff outside so as not to cause sickness to, you know, an elder or somebody who is already ill. But now we're seeing that individuals within that age group between 18 and 29 are also catching the coronavirus. We're now hearing cases where even younger children are coming into contact and are being susceptible, being able to be hosts for the coronavirus. So I'm not surprised at all that these numbers are going up. The large social gatherings, ever since this began, we have been constantly seeing footage or either knowing of people or maybe engaging on a personal note in family social gatherings. 2020, a lot of people graduated this year, prom, and you know, a lot of seniors missed out on those special moments. So a lot of families put their own events together to help to celebrate those moments for their children. Senior year is a very, you know, important year for a lot of people because it's the end of one journey and the beginning of a journey into adulthood for those who are graduating. So there has been a lot of social gatherings, and not even just for celebratory events. You know, people just coming together. They're partying. You know, we had an incident on the west side where it was a ridiculous amount of people who were caught on tape. You know, it was barely any moving space within the house that they were in. So it was really filled to its capacity. We didn't see any masks. I didn't see any bottles of hand sanitizer. You know, it was too packed for the 6 feet of social distancing. And I recall reading the article, and they interviewed one of the young ladies who was there. And she said, if I didn't have COVID before coming here, I probably got it now. But she said it in a joking manner. So how many people who probably didn't have it now have it and realize that this is not a game? How many people went home around their elderly parents or grandparents And then within a week of them attending a party or some type of large gathering, family members started to get sick. And then the household spread from family member to family member. That part right there, you can only do so much about that. I know that usually if it's the case where a certain family member has COVID and they are to quarantine in a certain room away from everybody else, but then if you have one bathroom, the person still has to come, before they even found out they had the positive test, they were already breathing in the same air and, sharing that same breathing space with their family members. So that's not a surprise either that, entire families will be catching it. It's just like with a regular cold. So now we have this going on. They were not expecting numbers like this in the summertime months. The concern was when fall came, because that's the time when people start to catch colds, catch the flu, catch pneumonia. That was the concern. And now in July, we're at a danger point. So the state will be restricting youth and adult recreational organized sports, including school-based sports beginning August 15th. Why? Because the virus remains dangerous. And also, with those active sports, it is not really healthy to engage in such active behavior with the mask on your face. I've heard of some people actually falling out behind that. So now they're restricting the sport. Now, not the professional or the collegiate, but for right now, the adult recreational and the youth, including the school-based sports. So, where you were signing your child up at the park district, all of that is cut out now. Chicago airport terminals have also been affected by this. Access to both O'Hare and Midway airports are now restricted to ticketed passengers, those assisting passengers, the employees with their badges, and others with legitimate airport business. So this brought a question to my mind, because I'm like, do people just go to the airport and just hang out? So I didn't know that the airport was even a hangout spot. So that was news to me. So the CDA security and the CPD is setting up a nightly checkpoint at each of the airport CTA stops. So this is only going on at night. They won't be doing the checkpoint during the daytime yet. But when and if they do approach you as a traveler, you must show proof that you are flying that day. So it's like no hanging out at the airport. I did not know that the airport was a hangout spot. Employees must show their badge or their ID. Those assisting passengers will have limited access. So if you're like on disability or pregnant or something, or the bags are just too heavy, and you have somebody who usually, goes through with you to help you set everything up, they will now have limited access. So we see that the corona is constantly affecting the healthcare regions. It's starting restrictions back with the restaurants, with the bars, with the recreational part of life, as far as sports. It's impacting the way that we're going to travel now with the Chicago airport. It has also impacted CPS, and that's the Chicago Public School System. Now, CPS are giving parents a week to determine whether to send their children to school part-time this fall or keep them home with only 1 day of live instruction online. Officials sent out this message to parents today, revealing an August 7th deadline, explaining that they need the answer by August 7th so that the district will, because the district will need time to plan based on how many families decide to stick with remote learning. A lot of parents are feeling like they still don't have enough information to make the right choice yet, because they're trying to find a balance between their education and the health. And those are two very important categories. You definitely want your child to get the best education, but you definitely want your child to be in good health. Because what is the point of a highly educated child if they are dead? What is the point of a highly educated child if they are sick and can't breathe? And, you know, so you definitely have to, you know, a lot of parents are definitely faced with a hard decision. And then not only that, you know, they're going back to work, so now they don't want their child sitting around the house all day long. So parents have their own personal concerns. Me personally, homeschooling is nothing for me. I've already been doing it. I was my children's first teacher. So for me to have to develop a curriculum or outsource for another curriculum and make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, I'm already doing that. So, you know, but everybody has their own situation that they have to deal with and try to make the best decision for. But I implore you not to sacrifice your child based off of your work needs or money needs, or you just tired of seeing this little child around the house all day. Do not sacrifice your child. Now, due to the unpredictable nature of the virus, that's why I'm saying do not sacrifice your child. The virus is unpredictable. They're saying that themselves. So if they're not sure, why even gamble? There are some things that you should take a risk on, but my God, your child's health, that should not be a risk. This really shouldn't even be a conversation. So due to the unpredictable nature of the virus, CPS won't make a final announcement until it's time to start the school year, which is about September 8th. Now, if you decide that your child won't be attending school, the in-person session, you have to stick with that choice through the first quarter of the school year. So they're saying, so if by some miraculous occurrence, Corona just starts to dissipate, the numbers just start to drop down, and you know, all is well with the world. You cannot all of a sudden say, well, now the Corona is gone or the numbers are down, I'm going to send my child to school. They're saying no. You're going to have to keep homeschooling that child through the first quarter of the school year. Now, the parents who pick the partial in-person option, they can opt out at any point. So they're saying that the parents who are for their child going to school partially, they can pull back and say, okay, I signed up to say that my child will go to school these 2 days out of the week, but because these numbers have constantly increased, because symptoms are occurring, because for whatever reason, now I'm going to just homeschool my child and give them straight remote learning. They are able to do that. So with the full-time remote learning, CPS plans to offer live instruction 1 day a week, which more than likely will be on a Wednesday. Attendance will be tracked the other 4 days. So I don't want you to get me misunderstood. The live instruction, there will be live instruction once a week. But just like how they set it up when the corona hit earlier this year and the staff was sending pre-planned curriculum to the children and was having them log in on a daily basis, that's what they're talking about. This is actually a good thing because, okay, the kids are expected to engage in a minimum of 5 hours of schoolwork per day. That's actually a good thing because it's teaching a child how to be independent. If you and your child are interested in going to college, the professors are not going to stand over their shoulder every day to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. They will be available for them to ask questions. They won't even see their professor every day because their schedule, it'll just be 2 to 3 times a week. Maybe once if you're a college student elected to take a Saturday class, but the hours will just be longer. So that's actually not a bad idea. We have to have more independent children who are able to receive instruction and then get the job done. There are actually a lot of adults out here who need you to hold their hand and go over everything with them step by step, no matter how many times they've already been prepped for it or went throughout. They need somebody to say, okay, start your day. Okay, start your job. Like that. This is actually a good thing because it's teaching the child to hold themselves accountable. And then you as a parent can always check in with the teacher. Their emails and phone numbers and stuff are readily made available most of the time. But of course, parents are concerned and they still feel like they need more information. A lot of them are scared to make the wrong decision. But I like that even those who say that they want the in-person training can opt out if they see that everything is, the numbers are steady increasing. They're showing cases where more children are being affected by corona, more hospital beds and stuff are started to be needed. So they are giving you an out, even if you do say that you will let your child attend school that 1 to 2 days per week. Goodness gracious. So we have the COVID, we have the numbers rising. It's continuing to affect the health of a lot of people, including some in their 20s. I shared a post on my Facebook page, Melanie Hogan, today, where they put out a news article about children in Indiana who tested positive for COVID on the first day of school. Indiana is nowhere to Chicago. And we often have a lot of traffic going back and forth between Indiana and Chicago. And if you all notice here in Chicago, my Chicagoans, my ChiLovians, we actually watched majority of the rest of the world contract COVID first before it hit us. So if we look at the pattern, it is best to get in alignment as best as possible to try to prevent the numbers continuing to go up, our family members being affected, us being affected on a personal note. So we have the health part that COVID is our social lives, COVID is impacting. The airports and the traveling. Before you travel, make sure that the place that you're going to is not on the quarantine list. because they are serious about that. We got the school system that COVID has impacted. We have the money and the ability to get certain type of money because jobs and stuff have been closing down and people been losing their jobs and getting laid off. And then even with the traveling part, they are starting to put their foot down a little harder for people who are refusing to do the 2-week mandatory quarantine. If you travel to one of these hot spots, just chill out for 2 weeks once you come back. You going, you having a great time. I'm glad you're having a great time. You deserve to have a great time. But don't have a great time and then come back here and end somebody else's life. You know, if you want to put yourself in certain positions, that is your choice. But try to be mindful of those that you say that you love. This situation right here is a good test of showing how much you really love somebody, or seeing how much somebody really loves you or supports you or just even cares for you. Because if you know that you're out here and you're down in Florida or Vegas or Wisconsin or wherever any of these states are that are on the quarantine list, you know you wasn't wearing a mask. A lot of times on vacation, a lot of people are drinking and engaging in other self-soothing, fun, eliciting activities. So now you're not even really thinking about the whole mask or sanitizing or 6 feet social distancing guideline. And okay, you made that decision. But then you come back and you're just around family, you're around friends. One young lady came back and went back to work, infected people at the job. You know how hard that is on people? You know how grateful those people must have been to still have their job, to be open for them to come into, and then you go on a vacation and come back and infect those at work, which cut into their money. It's the consideration, people. Consideration of others. The golden rule of treating others like you would want to be treated. You would not want somebody who has exposed themselves to this virus or to anything that could get you sick or to anything that could cause your life to end quicker. You would not want them to come around you and put your life in danger. But there's such a selfishness and a lack of consideration. And that's not for everybody. Because despite everything that's been going on, I've been seeing an increase of love. I've been seeing an increase of consideration. It just varies amongst the group that you're around. But it's not fair for you to go and have a ball and ride it till the wheels fall off and somebody else's wheels then fell off their life. And they were trying to prevent catching the virus. So because of that, they have put an order out for a fine of $100 to $500 per day. If you refuse to follow these guidelines and to self-quarantine, see, that's why I feel like it's a good idea for a lot of the children to start to have the curriculum to where they're able to just get the work and then be able to do it on their own. Because I do believe we'll have less situations like this where, you know, they're asking you to self-quarantine, but you don't even have discipline enough to do that. So if we could start to discipline our youth in ways to where they're able to take care of certain tasks without having to be forced to do it, without having to have someone hold their hand, without thinking that I need somebody over my shoulder to make sure I get something done. You get older by age, but everybody not getting older in maturity of mind. As your brain continues to develop, it's certain decisions that we're supposed to be making. And the thing about the brain is that it could be developed in one area and underdeveloped in another. But it seems like when it comes to the consideration of each other, a lot of people are really lacking on that level. So now they're saying, okay, you had money to go travel around, went to go have you a good time. You refuse to self-quarantine. We're going to charge you between $100 to $500 per day. Do you hear me? Not just between $100 and $500 for the incident per day. And you're supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days. Y'all got that type of money laying around to have to give it to the city? Most are already complaining about the fines and taxes and everything else that's going on thus far. Most are complaining about not having the funds to even do the day-to-day operations. So who has between $100 and $500 to pay per day because you don't want to self-quarantine? Now, they had this order, they put this order out a little time ago, but they were not enforcing it. Now they are at the point where they are going to start to enforce it. It's just like, when something is going on and you engage in a certain way, and then you have a little merciful soul who try to give you some time, some compassion to understand how this is affecting you. And they try to, give you some time to try to get yourself together with it, get your bearings with it, accept what's going on, and find a plan to where, you can still live some life, but in a more protected way. And when you don't do that, now you have people who are in office who now have to essentially spank you, who have to give you a spanking, because this is not just affecting you. Your actions are not just affecting you. They have the ability to affect everyone around you. This virus is so unpredictable. Next thing they're going to be saying that the babies is dropping. Because as we see, it's taking this time to hit certain age groups. And more age groups are included that were not originally included. You can't play with something like that's so unpredictable. And it's better to be safe than sorry. So now they're going to enforce it. So here are some of the ways that they're going to track you down. They have these contact tracers out here, right? And this is a system where if somebody has COVID, they are going to alert those, around you, tell you to alert your people. Well, no, they're supposed to actually alert the people around you that you have COVID, that you tested positive, so that you can start to quarantine or get tested and get checked out. So, and then for the people who do have it, of course, they're tracing them to see how they're moving around, who they're exposing, and so forth. So if these contact tracers get info that people who've caught the virus is in proximity to someone from the quarantine state, and they disregard the rules, you don't get a citation. But if you if you go to one of these hotspots outside of Illinois and you come back and you refuse to self-quarantine, you can get a fine from between $100 to $500 per day. Also, all my social media people who like to put every step of their life on social media, they are going to use social media as a way to catch these people so that you can receive these fines or receive these citations. So those who like to take the pictures and the videos and everybody crowded up together and everybody lit, they are now combing through social media and looking for people who are, as they say, flagrantly posting their social activities. It's almost time to pay the piper, people. This has been going on for several months. And I know that people have anxiety and depression, and you need that fresh air. You need that me time. It's very important, especially now. But we just got to find a way to still have that me time, still socialize, but not just get out of pocket with it. And the least y'all could do is show some pictures where everybody got on masks. That's the least you could do. Y'all don't even have on, like, nobody has a mask. Nobody is practicing a guideline. So now for those people who are engaging in that, those flagrant activities, as they say, they are going to track you down. And there will be repercussions to pay for it. Why? Because this is coming to a life or death situation. And even for those who can contract the COVID and then are still living, just the fact that they are having to endure those symptoms, it's horrendous. For people who have children and you got the positive you got the positive result, and now you have to stay locked up in a room and you can't even be around your children. You can't be around your man. You can't be around your woman. That's disheartening. And younger kids don't understand. So it's some things that we can prevent. And the least you could do is not post them on social media because you don't know who you're influencing. And they saying, well, so-and-so partying, them and they people still getting it. Ain't nothing gonna happen. We done hear so many people, oh, it's real. It's not real. It's real. It's not real. But we also been noticing that a lot of people who have been saying that it is not real have been dropping dead. And they have been finding out how real it really is. You don't want to be one of those people. Hopefully not. This is a team effort, as I said before. This is a team effort here. We all need each other. We all need to be considerate of the other. Even if you're on some op stuff. Don't let the COVID take out your enemy. You want them good and healthy so that you can do it face to face. Or, I don't know, from across 40 blocks. I don't know the way that y'all be getting down sometimes. Either way it go, you said you wanted this person. Don't let COVID take that person out. This is a team effort, people. I want to see you all here next year in an elevated state. We don't all need to be looking like some zombies around here. It is very possible we can do this. All we have to do is just, even if you have to just like make a little checklist or set some alarms on your phone to give you like little reminders of sanitizing your hands after you've been out for so long, or making sure you got your mask on, put it in your purse, leaving it in your car, putting it in your wallet, something. There's something that you could do to help to prevent this. And I'm only speaking to you out of love, because if I didn't care anything about you, I wouldn't care if you was aware or not. I wouldn't urge you to live and to help others live. But I do know that, this causes high levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. So you can text 741-741, or if you would like to speak to someone, you can call the Community Counseling Centers of Chicago at 773-365-7277. We love you here at the ChiLove Radio Show. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I'll talk to you soon.